Hey everybody, this is Coach Jess, and today in our session, I want to start off by not being boastful, but just reminding the attendees today of our experience. You know, we've got over 12 years in this space of corporate wellness. We've worked with a lot of companies, over 200 of different types and different varieties. We've worked with small companies of only a few employees. We've worked with very large companies, up to thousands of employees, and a lot in between of different types, such as white collar, such as banks, blue collar, such as construction companies, food industry. We've really done a wide variety of different company types. We've had the privilege of coaching over 65,000 employees. And so today, I'm going to focus on 5 key learnings that we've learned in this 12 years, 200 companies, and 65,000 employees. So let's dig in here. Learning number one. At the end of the day, we're in the results business. If you do not get results, companies are not going to renew with you. Results is so important. So it's really not any different than what many of you do already with whether it's a client or a patient or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, people want results, and companies are the same. When you produce results, those companies are going to be grateful. The individual employees are going to be grateful. You obviously are going to feel fulfilled and satisfied with the results you were able to produce. Everybody wins. And so at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind, learning number one, you have to produce results. How do you show results? Well, in our early days, it was all about metrics. In fact, what we would do is once we got a company contracted, we would actually go into that company. And it was voluntary, so not every employee would choose to participate, but we would actually get quite a few high percentage of the employee population that would participate in this. And we would test every single employee that was willing to be tested. And we'd measure their body fat and their blood pressure and their VO2 max. And we would actually take an A1C test to test for risk of diabetes and other disease risk type measurements. And we'd give the individual a report, a comprehensive report of where they were at with things. We would give an aggregate report to the employer so that they understood what their employee population looked like. And then we would retest that employee population every single year. And so with that retest, we were able to show both the individual and the employer, what was changing, what was improving, or in some cases, what wasn't improving. And of course, in between that testing was the intervention, was the programming and the coaching and all those kind of elements. But yet we were able to show very, very clearly that we were having an impact. Let me share another learning with you. What we found is this type of metric-based measurement is very resource intensive. So after some time and just realizing that it was going to be very challenging for us to scale our operations around this kind of testing, we actually changed our tune a little bit and we started looking at the results as a function of the right activities. And so as we had people engage in the right activities, then the results followed. And the nice thing about that is then both us and the individual had more control over those activities. What do we mean by the right activities? Lots of activities you can do around wellness. And so we picked ours very, very carefully, and it started with time in a heart rate zone as one of the metrics for engagement, because it's very, very clear whether or not people are engaging. And not only are they engaging, but are they engaging at a level and an intensity that is going to produce results. Having people get to a specific standard level of time and zone, then they're achieving a quality of movement that is both measurable and is going to produce specific results. Like there's no doubt that if somebody spends at least a minimal standard of time in a heart rate zone, results are going to follow. They are going to get more fit. They are going to improve health. It's just they're connected. It's a cause and effect type thing. So from day one, we have always based all of our programming in spending time in heart rate zones, and the results have followed. Same thing with tracking meals with pictures. You can have people write down what they ate. You can have people do scan barcodes in the grocery store. You can have people track in different ways, and all those things are great. Nothing against any of them. But when you have people take pictures, which is an activity that they're already accustomed to doing, in the very simple act of taking a picture, you've now shown and created accountability for what was eaten, the quality of what was eaten, and how much, as well as the frequency. Ton of data that comes out of that simple act of taking a picture of what you eat. And so again, by focusing on that activity, people become more accountable. They become more conscious of their choices. And then if you, in addition, have them rank what they've ate, they've now got to be mindful about those choices. And our experience, as well as if you go look in the literature of human behavior literature, anytime we have an increase of consciousness of behavior improves. So we've just found this to be such a key element in helping people engage and therefore get results. Same thing with guided meditations. We identified some of the most renowned people that we could identify in the space of guided mindful meditation and provided those meditations so that it can be tracked and it becomes very objective and clear how many minutes per week you engage in those guided meditations, and therefore the impact of that mindfulness and that stress reduction through meditation, the results follow. And then same thing again with weekly weigh-ins, by making it very, very easy, very simple to do a weekly weigh-in. And there's all kinds of controversy about weighing, taking body weight, right? And I understand that. We understand that. At the end of the day, we felt like it was important for people to take that metric on a regular basis, like a weekly basis, because it provides data to be able to navigate from and to make decisions from. It's not a judgment. Somebody weighs more than they want or less than they want or right exactly what they want. No judgment in any of that. It's simply data to make decisions from. So if that weight is tracking towards that individual's goals, we can continue doing things as we've been doing them. We know we're on track. If that weight is not reflecting their goals and it's not making changes that are consistent with their goals, we've got to do something a little differently. So that's where we can make those little nuanced changes in direction and help them be able to see the success of that. And again, we're just using that metric as a way to navigate. So again, we've really focused on these types of activities as a function or as the definition of engagement. And as we have, the results have been there. People have been successful. And then as the individuals are successful, the employee feels good, the employer feels good, everybody's winning, right? Now, we've really identified that there are really two components of engagement. The first is that we need people to enroll. We actually need them to say, raise their hand and say, I want to do this, to sign up. And then two, once they do sign up, that they actually participate. And they participate well. We all know, people that say, yeah, I want to do this. And once they get in, they really don't do a lot. Well, one without the other doesn't really work out so well. And so both of these components of engagement become important. So let's talk about driving enrollment first. And the first part of driving enrollment, part A, is appealing to their emotions. We all know that people buy things because they're emotional about it, right? The reason you buy a new pair of pants is because you think you're going to look really good in those pair of pants. The reason you buy a new car is because you emotionally believe that you're going to look great in that car, and that people are going to think about you differently because you have that car. Anytime you buy a new car, what's one of the first things you do? You drive over to your friend's house, your parents' house, your siblings' house, and say, hey, you want to take a ride in my car? It's a very emotional thing for us. And so it's no different here, where one of the things that we have to do is we have to appeal to their emotions. And in those emotions, we help identify the hot emotional buttons so they feel like there's an understanding of what they're going through, and then we have to give them a vision and a hope of what's possible that will help them feel better about their circumstance and their situation. And so one of the first learning number 3, you got to drive enrollment through appealing to emotions. And so we've utilized the concept of a you versus a better you. We all have situations in our life, whether it's about our health and our fitness or about our finances or about our relationships or about whatever it is. We've all got some level of pain that we would like to change. A lot of times that pain is kind of latent pain that we just got to push to the back of our head. And sometimes there are circumstances that bring that to the forefront of our mind that now it becomes really important to do something. And so if we can help people do that, if we can help them bring that latent pain forward so that it becomes important to do something now, to go from where you are now to a better you, then we're going to get them to enroll. Because again, we've given them this understanding of where they are currently with this hope and this vision of what they can become. And the research shows that about 80% of people want to be some better version of themselves of what they are right now. So when you look at the frustration that often the current you or current individual may be experiencing, such as they're unable to lose weight and keep it off, that's a very common and very frustrating situation. And when we express understanding of that, when we can help them feel like, yes, I understand your frustration, I understand you're unable to lose weight, followed by a vision of a better you or a vision of what they can accomplish or become, then it becomes exciting, and we can give them hope that maintaining your ideal weight is a complete possibility. And so using that emotion to make them feel like, yes, I want to enroll because I believe that what you're telling me is really going to create a better you. Things like being unhappy with what's in the mirror. Currently, is this you? Are you unhappy with that? And is there a better you just waiting to come out that's confident, that loves seeing what's in the mirror? Same thing with, so again, utilizing these emotions that we all know we all have, these kind of emotional hot buttons, hot topics. And if you've been around the industry, you know what they are. We've hit on a couple here, but you know what they are. And so hitting on those things that people feel emotional about, along with this hope and this vision of what's possible. Learning number 3, driving enrollment. Part B, what are we talking about here? Well, the reality is that after the emotion is settled, then things have to make sense to people or they're not going to continue. There has to be some logic. Buyer's remorse is the emotional purchase of something without the logic. You go home and you're like, oh man, I really did not need that new pair of pants. Emotionally, I bought it because I thought it was going to look great in those pants, but I really don't need it when I go home and look in the closet and I see 20 pairs of pants. And so there has to be some justification with that emotion so that logically they can validate that they made the right choice. And there's no difference when we're talking about these kind of things around health and fitness. And so it's really the logic is about removing 3 big obstacles that many people have. And it's not all the obstacles in the world, but in our experience, it really hits on kind of the biggest 3 obstacles that many people have. The first one is just not knowing what to do after they've tried everything and they just feel like nothing's really working, nothing's really permanent, and they just become frustrated, overwhelmed, confused, and they're not sure where to go next. Second obstacle that they're going to, there's fear. That's really the title of this obstacle is fear. I'm fearful that I'm going to be miserable. I'm fearful that I'm going to hate engaging in physical activity, or I'm going to hate having to restrict myself in what I eat. I'm going to have to give up too much. And so obstacle 2 is really about fear. And then the third obstacle that we hear constantly, you hear this too. I don't have the time. I'm just not motivated. Someday, right? That's the key catchphrase. Someday I'll focus on me. When finally I'm taking care of the kids. When finally I've, work isn't so demanding. Someday I'll have the time for me and taking care of me. Someday I'll feel motivated. Guess what? Someday's never going to come. Someday is today. And so, helping them overcome this obstacle of feeling like I don't have the time or motivation becomes really. Learning number 4, driving participation. Now let's move from, we talked about enrollment. How do we get people to enroll? Now let's talk about how do we get them to participate? Well, it starts with personal programming. And it has to be somewhat personal. It can't be exactly the same thing for everybody. So when you think about nutrition, exercise, stress, weight loss, education, some personal elements to that. Now, let's be honest. Let's be really blunt. The reality is if you're going into a company of 150 employees, you are not going to be able to sit down with 150 people and write out an individualized workout plan with every single person. You can't do it. And there's no intention to. And honestly, there's no need to. As you learn more and more about how we do what we do and what we found to be successful, you'll see that there's a lot of personalization in it, while still being able to manage, coach, and be successful with the masses. And by masses, we're not talking thousands, but if you've listened to some of the things that we've talked about, picking the right company size is really, really important. And bigger is not always better. But if you're talking about anywhere from 50 employees to 300 employees, being able to approach them in a way that you can manage all those employees while giving personalization within this programming is really important, is going to help drive that participation. Part B of that is making sure that you have the right goals, meet them where they are. And so often people, as they approach a change, a life change, it can be very daunting, can be very overwhelming. And so meeting them where they are and changing the mindset from a mindset of, which is so prevalent in the industry, of the, go hard or go home, or never eat anything bad ever again, just doesn't work. And so by focusing in on this idea, this ideology and mindset of being consistently good versus being occasionally perfect, think about that. Consistency is king. Consistency, if I can get you to be consistently good at something over the course of a year, 2 years, 4 years, I'm going to get you so much further down the road that every once in a while, all things align in your life so that you can be perfect. How often is that going to happen? Yes, you know what? Sometimes every once in a while for somebody it does. Most of us it doesn't. So therefore, let's focus on being consistently good. People, that appeals to people. People resonate with the fact that they are not expected to be perfect at this. But let's just be good. But consistency is the key here. Let's be good, but you got to be consistently good. And if 80, 90% of the time we can get you to be good, not perfect, we're going to make some great progress together. Driving participation also includes data. Data is the proof in the pudding. Data is the evidence to both them and to you as the coach that they're doing the things that they say they're doing. And we all know clients like that. Not everybody, but often we hear our clients say that they're doing certain things, which in our gut, we're kind of like, are you really? Well, when you have the data, there's no question. But the cool thing is it's not just about you. Sometimes the word accountability feels very big brotherish. Like we're just like, okay, we're going to be watching you, and yeah, that's an important piece, but it doesn't have to be quite that, that intrusive, because by them seeing the data, it gives their brain evidence that what they're doing is good, positive, and consistently good, as well as supports the results that they get. I hope that makes sense. But, giving our brain evidence is a really important piece, and that data is that evidence. And so when you look at exercise, when you look at the nutrition, you look at the stress and the weight measurements and, all those pieces, that's why the heart rate monitoring and being objective and saying, here's not just your quantity, but your quality of physical activity because of the time you spent in zone. Here are your food pictures, and here's your ranking of thumbs up or down to show what you actually think about what you ate. And the scale that's showing that things are going in the right direction or they're not. So you can decide, okay, can we keep going on the same course, or do we need to adjust our course, our direction a little bit? And then you support all that with great content and education and helping them learn and understand. And so both the participant and the coach have that real data with all that support so that real lasting change can happen. And then we continue to drive participation through that accountability coaching. Accountability coaching is, again, so important because if you have that data to look at and you can see that progress in real time, and you can, or lack of progress in some cases, right? If you're looking at that data and you can be able to cue in on what it is that you're seeing and address them with it in pretty real time, you're not waiting a whole week before you see them at your next session, but right there in real time, you can look at the data and you can say, Jess, you're either doing something really good here, and I want to acknowledge that, or I'm seeing some things that maybe aren't going to get you the results like that. So how are we going to deal with that? How are we going to address it? so that we can get you, again, consistently good, so we're making progress. And what we have found is with this accountability coaching method and mentality is that with that data in real time, we actually see, 4 times, up to 4 times engagement to what we would see without it. So really, really important part of participation is that accountability coaching. So learning number 3 and number 4, summary. What have we talked about and learned so far? Well, first of all, got to get people to enroll. They got to sign up. To do that, we appeal to their emotion and we justify it with logic. And then we provide them the right program of the right topics, the right length, the right frequency, make it virtual so everybody can participate. And through that opportunity, people are more likely to enroll to actually sign up. Once we get them to sign up, it becomes very important for them to participate by making sure they have some personalization to their program, that we're considering their personal goals and aligning the programming with those goals, that we're actually tracking the data so that there's objective accountability, and we're producing evidence to both them and us of what that activity looks like. And then we're utilizing our coaching skills to use that data and making them and holding them accountable, while at the same time nurturing them with really good content, education, and learning. So, real quick summary of what it means to engage and produce results. Now, learning number 5, what are some power strategies? Power strategies mean, what are some additional things that we can do to make this just really, really successful? Well, first of all, using incentives. We all know incentives can be kind of a hit or a miss. Sometimes we incentivize people with like little prizes like Starbucks cards or, Amazon cards, or maybe, a little bit of cash, or, whatever it may be. Well, and those things can be powerful. They can be. But when we base the incentive on their engagement and we set a standard that literally anybody can hit, then we're far more likely to get them to engage. Now, let me back up just a second and explain a little bit more what I mean. Sometimes in addition to giving like gift cards or cash, we also give prizes for the best, right? You lost the most weight, so here's your prize. Or you did the hardest workout, so here's your prize. And so what ends up happening is that we're only rewarding the very best of the best. And everybody that's down here, after a while, they kind of go, well, that's not very exciting. That's not very motivating. I'm never going to get there, because in the company, it's probably the guy that rides his road bike or his mountain bike, 4 or 5 times a week, or the part-time, fitness instructor, right? They're going to win those kind of prizes each and every time. So everybody else kind of goes, that's not very motivating because I'll never win it. So with that, if we can make the incentives engagement based so that we're setting a minimum standard, anybody can reach that standard, and then everybody has the opportunity to win. So let me give you an example. If we were to say within a company, anybody that reaches at least a 70% engagement over the course of this next 6-week challenge, they can earn XYZ, whatever it is, right? So you set that minimum standard of 70%. I'm just throwing that out there. That is one that we actually use quite a bit, but you can make it whatever you want. But if we said every single person that can meet 70%, now you think about the mindset here too. And people are going, wow, he said they don't have to be consistently good. Now he's saying, I don't even have to be 100% to get that reward. I just have to be 70%. I can be 70% good over 6 weeks. Heck yeah, I'm in. Let's go. And they're much more willing to engage, right? And the XYZ for the engagement, the reward can be a whole host of things. Things like paid time off, or gift cards, or, their gym memberships. Often we go into companies and they're offering gym memberships as a wellness program, but there's no accountability for what's happening at the gym, So you take that same and you just make it maybe a reward, right? Okay, well, anybody that engages at 70%, you've now proven that you're willing to engage in physical activity and nutrition behaviors that are beneficial. Your reward is we're going to help you continue doing that by giving you a gym membership. Okay, maybe think of it that way. I'm just going to throw it out there. One of our most successful engagement incentives has been reductions in healthcare premiums. If you achieve a certain level, which anybody can achieve, instead of making you pay the highest price for your healthcare premiums for your medical plan, we're going to charge you a low premium per month. That one's pretty powerful. So, but the bottom line, the key with engagement incentives is they have to be engagement based rather than just arbitrary prize that they can win, or that only a select group that perform the best can win. Hope that makes sense. Next, weekly engagement reporting. What this means is on a weekly basis, you're producing reports to the company and to the individuals of where they fall in the challenge, how they're doing so far. Very, very powerful. And so by showing them where they currently are, and it's very easy for them to see, wow, yeah, I'm doing great. It's week 1 and I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Okay, now it's week 2. Oh, week 3, man, that was a bad week. Now that dropped my overall engagement by, so many points. I got to make week 4 a great week, right? So keeping that weekly engagement reporting in front of both them and the employer becomes a really, really powerful strategy that you can utilize. And then organizing a wellness committee. Some companies are going to have a wellness committee, some are not. But if they don't, it's in your best interest to organize at least some level of a wellness committee who have buy-in, who are willing to be the champion within the organization of this wellness offering and this wellness program, and then meeting with that wellness committee on a regular basis. And in those weekly meetings, discussing the engagement report, discussing individuals that maybe are doing great and those that maybe need a little extra help. There's probably elements within the organization that are going on that you're not going to be aware of. Big projects, changes, things like that may tell the story of what's really happening and allow you to make some adjustments on how to engage the individuals on an individual basis better. And so meeting with that wellness committee on a regular basis becomes really important. And then creating social elements where they have the opportunity to kind of socialize about their change and about the success they're having. There's nothing more powerful than seeing the culture of an organization shift from water cooler conversations that are about things like, oh, did you watch the Bachelorette last night? To, oh man, did you see this thing that, this recipe? I tried this recipe. It's amazing. You should try it. Or, wow, I did this really great workout. Like, look at my heart rate curve of how much time I got in my zone. Now, when you start seeing those kind of conversations shift, man, that's really exciting. And so using the technology to provide some of those social components to help people feel supported and in a network where, again, the social sharing of their success will just breed more success. So these are just some additional powerful strategies that you can focus on to really put you over the top in terms of the engagement. Now, let me give you an example. This is a very real example. In fact, this is a client that I still coach. I still work with this client, Jane's Construction. It's a general contractor company. They have about 150 to 175 employees, give or take, depending on the season and the busyness. It's actually one of the very busy contractor in our local area here. We've had this client since 2012. The way that we've structured the programming is that we do 5 unique challenges each and every year. They are 6 weeks in length. All the employees know exactly that they're going to have 5 opportunities to engage. They know they're going to have 5 opportunities to earn some of the engagement-based incentives that have been established. And this company they kill it. And the cool thing about this company is they are self-funded for their insurance. And year after year after year, over the past 10 years, they've seen much lower increases in their premiums than anybody else in the space. And they're very proud of it. They talk about that openly with their clients, with in the media, with their employees, that this has been such a great and unique opportunity for them. And for us, it produces about $81,000 a year. And so you can imagine if you were able to get 2 or 3 Jane's Corporation general contractors, or plug in whatever company that you want here. But again, 150 employees. We recommend not 5. 5 is something we've worked out with this company for a couple of different reasons. But let's say you stick with the template of 4 6-week challenges annually, and you keep them for 4 years. You do the math and you see how much that revenue that produces for you. And then if you're able to do several of those, 3, 4 of those kind of companies every year, again, do the math. See how profitable that will be for you as a business. So just to kind of sum things up, we've had a lot of success with this template, with this model. We want to share with you how you can make this also successful within your own business to build a really profitable enterprise and going out and working with corporate clients, structuring things in the right way by utilizing these 5 strategies. We look forward to working with you more and teaching you more. So if you want more information about how you can be involved and learn about how to approach corporate clients and building a very successful, stable business. In doing so, we'd appreciate hearing from you, and we would be honored to teach you the things that we've learned. So that wraps up today's session. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We hope that you have found it useful, and we look forward to other opportunities and other sessions where we can share more with you, and we can even take a deeper dive into some of these things on how you create success with corporate clients. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time.